We are grateful to gather here together, and we are truly honored to do so in your presence. We also appreciate those of you who are joining our live stream online. When Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner over 200 years ago, he called America the land of the free and the home of the brave. Those words are as true today as they were then. Throughout the nation's history, America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen have bravely answered the call to defend our freedom, to aid our friends and allies, and to turn back aggressors. We can never fully repay our debt of gratitude to more than 650,000 American service members who died in the battle, of the 1.4 million who were wounded. We can, however, recognize and thank the 25 million veterans living today. Those words are inscribed on the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Our nation honors sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and people they never met. Those words apply equally to many of our World War II, Vietnam War, Gulf War, and Operation Enduring Freedom veterans as well. They apply to today's active duty service members who are helping to maintain peace throughout our world. Today it is our privilege to say thank you to all American veterans, to let them know that we appreciate them for our service and honor for them and their sacrifices. The price of freedom is high. We cannot afford to forget those willing to pay it. Today, we celebrate American veterans for keeping this nation the land of the free and the home of the brave. To honor America, please stand for the presentation of the colors by Carlisle Junction High School Air Force Junior ROTC, the Pledge of Allegiance led by Sarah Buckley, and the playing of our national anthem by the Carlisle Junction High School bands. At the conclusion of the national anthem, please remain standing for the departure of colors.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. At this time, Mrs. Sharon Clark will be reading the poem, The Missing Man's Table. Following the reading, please stand as Mr. William Schultz plays taps.
Thank you for having me, and I've been reading this now for about 4 years because we all need a reminder that there's a missing man's table in someone's home. Those who have served and those currently serving in the uniformed services of the United States are ever mindful that the sweetness of enduring peace has always been tainted by the bitterness of personal sacrifice. They are compelled to never forget that while we enjoy our daily pleasures, others have endured or may still be enduring the agonies of pain and internment. We call attention to the small table which occupies a place of dignity and honor. The table is round to show our everlasting concern for our missing men and women. The tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their motives when answering the call of duty. The single red rose displayed in a vase signifies the blood they may have shed for our freedom and reminds us of the life of each of the missing. The vase is tied with a red ribbon, a symbol of our continued determination to account for our missing. A slice of lemon on the plate is to remind us of the bitter fate of those captured and missing in a foreign land. A pinch of salt symbolizes the tears endured by those missing and the many countless tears of families as they wait. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass is inverted to symbolize their inability to share this day's toast with us. The chair is empty because they're not here. Let us not forget the sacrifices of those and their families.
Please be seated. I would now like to welcome Addison Aigner. Addison is being recognized for her entry in the VFW Voice of Democracy contest. She will read her entry, The Greatest Attributes of Our Democracy.
Thank you. Our democracy is alive. We are not the same people or country that we were 247 years ago. With progress, there must be change, or our democracy will be left behind and die. As we evolve, our democracy must evolve. The Founding Fathers knew this when they wrote the U.S. Constitution, so they allowed it to be amended to keep up with the times. Some amendments have changed the course of history, but they have all had an influence on other amendments created after them. The greatest contributions to our democracy have been the amendments, which have kept our Constitution and democracy alive. The First Amendment, established in the new U.S. Constitution, was the freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition. Today, many Americans take this amendment for granted. We don't understand that in so many places around the world, they cannot speak freely about their government, nor do they have the right to practice certain religions. From the First Amendment, so many other changes to our democracy have come about. Some of these include the ending of slavery, civil rights for African Americans, and women's right to vote. Without the First Amendment, so many other changes to our Constitution would not have been possible. America has always been known as the land of the free and the brave. but we have not always given true equality to everyone. From 1861 to 1865, the bloodiest war in American history was fought over slavery. From this war came the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. These were a major accomplishment for the United States. They ended slavery, a horrifying and inhumane practice, but also giving everyone born on U.S. soil citizenship, and bestowing African American men the right to vote. For a nation that flourished on slavery, this was a major accomplishment. But the fight was far from over. Before the war, many founding fathers and politicians had spoke out against slavery and never participated in it. John Adams, for example, asserted that the revolution would not be over until slavery was abolished. During the 1960s, practicing the First Amendment, Martin Luther King Jr. petitioned and protested for true equality for African Americans. He argued through his freedom of speech that the government had not been protecting his rights in the Constitution. The fight for equality has been a long and hard one, but with determination from citizens and politicians, our Constitution has been amended to give true equality of rights to everyone. After the passing of the 15th Amendment, women began to see a glimmer of hope to get their right to vote. Starting in the mid-1800s, women wrote, they caused civil disobedience, and they protested to make an astounding change to the Constitution, their right to vote. This would not have been possible without the First and 15th Amendments. They gave women the right to protest and speak out against why they should be allowed to vote, and the idea that if African American men should be allowed to vote, so should they. Few early leaders lived to see their accomplishments, but today, so many of us benefit from it because those women were influenced by the First and 15th Amendments. Our Constitution is a living and breathing document that is constantly changing. Each amendment that has been created has helped contribute to the ratification of other amendments created after them. This is proof that our Constitution is alive. All amendments, whether big or small, have helped keep our democracy relevant and useful for today's citizens. Thank you, veterans, for defending our country and protecting our Constitution.
Thank you so much, Addison. Please turn your attention to the video board for a thank you presentation created by Ms. Jocelyn Winger and Mr. Klingen's video production students.
Today, as we gather to honor and pay tribute to the brave souls who have served our country, let us take a moment to reflect on the unshakable spirit of our veterans. Their unwavering courage, selfless sacrifice, and steadfast dedication have not only safeguarded our nation, but have also woven the very fabric of our freedom. As we gaze upon these images of resilience, we are reminded of the countless sacrifices made by these extraordinary individuals. Each photograph captures a unique chapter in the story of our nation, telling tales of unyielding bravery and unspoken hardships. Behind every smile, every proud stance, lies a profound narrative of resilience, brotherhood, and unbreakable spirit. In these images, we see more than just soldiers adorned in uniforms. We see the embodiment of sacrifice and service, the embodiment of unspoken struggles and unwavering determination. We see the embodiment of every missed milestone, every family celebration forgone, every sleepless night spent guarding our nation's values. Their legacy resonates in the freedom we cherish today, the liberties we exercise, and the opportunities we pursue with unwavering determination. On this Veterans Day, let us pledge to carry forward the spirit of honor, duty, and sacrifice that these remarkable individuals have exemplified. Let us stand united in gratitude, ensuring that their bravery is never forgotten, their stories never fade, and their sacrifices will never go unnoticed. May we always remember that the price of our liberty is owed to the courage of our veterans. As we honor their service, let us also renew our commitment to upholding the principles for which they so courageously fought. Let us continue to strive for a world where peace, justice, and freedom prevail, a world that reflects the ideals of our veterans have passionately defended. To our veterans, past and present, we express our heartfelt gratitude and profound respect. Your courage continues to inspire us, your sacrifices continue to humble us, and your legacy will forever remain etched in the soul of our great nation.
Thank you, veterans, for your sacrifices and everything you've done. I'd like to thank all the U.S. troops and their dedication to this country. Thanks, guys.
Heavenly Donuts would really like to thank all of our veterans and their families for their service and their sacrifice.
Thank you.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
From Community Bank and Trust, we'd love to say thank you to our veterans and the service they've provided for us over the years.
Here at CJ Pharmacy, we would like to thank our veterans for their sacrifices made to protect our nation and its liberties. Thank you.
Thank you,
veterans. Thank you, veterans. Thank you, veterans. Thank you, veterans. Thank you, veterans. Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you, veterans.
Thank you.
For the past 8 years, Southwest Missouri Bank has sponsored our Veterans Day Assembly. Today, as guests arrived, students presented each veteran in attendance with a special gift sponsored by S&P. Each gift includes a commemorative koozie with a can of soda from Coca-Cola and chocolate-dipped patriotic pretzels made by Mrs. Mellon's food classes. Additionally, in our special seating, each veteran will receive a red poppy as a symbol of both remembrance and hope for a peaceful future. Thank you, Southwest Missouri Bank, for honoring our veterans, and most importantly, thank you, veterans, for your service. In recognition of all our honored guests and in honor of each branch of the armed services, the Carl Drichten High School Band, under the direction of Mr. Scott Schneider, will now perform the Salute to Services Armed Forces Medley. We ask that each veteran that is able stand to be recognized during the duration of your service song. A slide presentation will also be displayed to represent each branch. Mr. Schneider? Thank you, Mr. Schneider and the band. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please direct your attention to the front of the room and our video board, as a special video is played and our Air Force JROTC cadets conduct a flag folding ceremony.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I stand guard majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped. I am loved, and I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, Guam, Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, in the Persian Gulf, and a score of places long forgotten by all but those who were there with me. I was there. I led my soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. I followed them and watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn and tired, but my Marines and sailors cheered me, and I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn and trampled on the streets of countries that I have helped set free. It does not hurt, for I have been soiled, burned, torn and trampled on the streets of my own country. And when it is by those I have served in battle with, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the bonds of earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. I have been silent witness to all of America's finest hours, but my finest hour comes when I am torn in strips to be used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. When I fly at half-mast to honor my soldiers, my airmen, my sailors, my Marines, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a great mother at the graveside of the fallen soldier. I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave. Dear God, long may I wave.
Today's folded flag was presented to Army veteran Sharon Clark in honor of her service to our country, community, and school. Additionally, our business management classes will be presenting a check for $1,000 to the veteran charity of Mrs. Clark's Choice. Thank you, Mrs. Clark, for your tremendous example of service. Our guest speaker for today is Major Scott Norman. Major Norman is a senior aerospace science instructor for the Carl Junction High School Air Force Junior ROTC, a program which started this school year. He served in the United States Air Force for 23 years and deployed multiple times in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. He grew up in Northwest Arkansas, enlisted in the Air Force out of high school, and attended officer training school in 2002. Since retiring in 2013, he has served as an Air Force JROTC instructor, including 3 years in Florida and the last 7 years in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Please welcome Major Norman.
Good afternoon. Man, that is a lot to follow. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for allowing me the honor of speaking at this wonderful event. I want to say again, thank you to all of our veterans in attendance today. This day is about you, and thanking you for all you've done for our great country. One of the first things that Dr. Cook told me when I took this job was what an amazing Veterans Day event this school has every year, and I can see that he was not exaggerating. This is awesome, and I'm proud to be a part of a school and a community that shows so much support for our military and our veterans. I'll start today with a brief, and I promise only very brief, history of Veterans Day. Most of this is information that many of you already know. Veterans Day was established on November 11th, 1919 as Armistice Day to remember the end of World War I and honor all of those who served. It was made a national holiday in 1938. In 1954, the name of the holiday was changed to Veterans Day to honor all veterans from all wars, and the holiday was moved to October. And then in 1978, it became the holiday that most of you have known for all or most of your life. It was returned to November 11th, remembering the significance of that day, and it was to recognize all veterans who ever served. And that is as much as I'm going to say about Veterans Day history. You're welcome. But you might ask yourself, as I have done a time or two, why only Veterans Day? Why just one day? Why not Veterans Week or Veterans Month? I mean, we have all of these other people and groups and organizations and causes that have a week or a month set aside to recognize them. And it seems like we've established a day for just about everyone and everything. In fact, if you want to do the paperwork, you can establish a day for just about anything you want. You may not know this, but Veterans Day this year shared the day with National Hot Fudge Sundae Day. And yesterday was National Chicken Soup for the Soul Day, National Pizza with Everything Except for Anchovies Day, and my personal favorite, National Pneumonia Day. I don't think for that last one you're actually supposed to try to catch pneumonia on that day, but we'll have to do some research, I'm not too sure. I remember seeing on Facebook a few weeks ago, Son's Day and Daughter's Day, and then at some point Siblings Day, and Grandparents Day, and In-Laws Day, and on and on and on. And I said to my wife, we're not celebrating any of that. These people get a birthday, and if Facebook doesn't remind me, I'll probably forget that. But before I go on, and considering the present company, I should say that I am completely on board with Teacher Appreciation Week. It is well deserved, and I don't want to say anything today that would disqualify myself from all the nice things that come our way during that time. But why only Veterans Day? For all they have done, why just a single day? I think there are two good reasons why just one day makes the most sense and works the best. First, in a country that seems to be divided on just about every issue, having just one day when we can all come together and celebrate veterans is a good thing. Asking people to put their differences aside for longer than that day might be too much to ask. But for one day, we can all be on the same team to thank our nation's veterans. My wife and I traveled to Fayetteville and attended a Razorback football game a couple of months ago. The Razorbacks were losing. Those of you who may be lifelong fans like me know that has become all too familiar. The fans were growing restless. There was some booing and some yelling. One guy even yelled out, "Our quarterback weighs 250 pounds. Run the quarterback sneak on 4th and inches, you dummy." I know someone yelled that out because I was that someone. But the crowd was upset, to say the least, and during timeouts, you may have seen how they do these things at certain games. They would bring people out onto the field for a quick recognition during a timeout. And I remember during one timeout, they brought out a group of children from the local boys club and girls club, announced them, and the crowd kind of gave them a half-hearted applause. I remember feeling sorry for them. Here was their big day to come out on the field at Razorback Stadium, and most of the fans barely acknowledged them. But the crowd was in no mood to celebrate, not even for kids. At a later time out in the game, and things had gotten no better for the Razorbacks, they brought out a few former players. These were athletes who most of these fans had adored, and yet still the applause came from maybe half the crowd. They again were just too upset about the game to cheer for anyone or anything. But then at the next time out, and things had gotten even worse for the home team, they brought out a military veteran and his family. They briefly described the sacrifices he had made for his country. And in that moment, almost every fan, nearly 80,000 in attendance, stood and applauded. Both those cheering for the home team and those cheering for the away team. Both those who were happy with how the game was going and those who were upset. They all stood together as one and cheered loudly for that veteran. I don't know if you could carry that over for a week or a month, but at least for a day, or in this case a couple of minutes, everyone came together to thank a veteran. And so one day works just fine. The other reason I think one day works best is because most veterans aren't very comfortable accepting thank yous or recognition. Most veterans are extremely humble and just want to blend in with everyone else. You won't hear most veterans complain about what they sacrificed. They don't want to call attention to themselves. They don't think of themselves as anything special or any kind of hero. They will take a thank you, but they won't ask for one. They will accept a military discount, but they won't demand one. They will tell you about their service if you ask, but they won't bring it up. You won't hear them bragging about what they did for their country, especially if that included serving during wartime, because in most of those cases, they'd rather just forget it. And so you can get veterans to come to events like this and accept your thanks and appreciation, but if it was more than a day, if it was a week or a month, most veterans just would not be comfortable participating or bringing attention to themselves for that long. So again, one day works just fine for most veterans. But what I will say to you in closing, and this is especially for the younger generation who make up the majority of our audience here today, while the official holiday is only one day, your appreciation does not have to be limited to just this one day. Make today the day that you show your appreciation for veterans publicly, but carry that on privately all year long. 22 veterans a day in the United States of America commit suicide. 22 a day. And those who considered suicide but didn't go through with it almost all say the same things. I didn't think anyone cared. I thought everyone would be better off without me. I don't have anyone to talk to. Nobody understands or cares how I feel. I just feel so alone. Some of them are dealing with things you cannot imagine. They are trying to return to normal and just fit in, but the memories of the things they have experienced sometimes make that very difficult. And so if you know a veteran, thank them today, but don't wait until a year from now to check up on them again. If you know a veteran, shake their hand today, but don't wait a year to again express your gratitude. If you know a veteran, hug them today, but don't wait until next November to take a few minutes and ask, how are you doing? Or would you like to talk for a while? Sit and talk to them, listen to them, spend time with them, tell them you care. Not once a year in November, but every chance you get. Because it might only be a few minutes out of your life, but it might save theirs. Thank you again for allowing me the time to speak today.
Thank you, Major Norman. Please welcome the Carl Richardson High School Dynamics under the direction of Mrs. Hope Rogers as they perform God Bless America and God Bless the USA. Thank you, Dynamics. Please welcome Carl Junction High School Principal, Mr. Kyle Williams, for closing remarks.
As principal of Carl Junction High School, and on behalf of Carl Junction School District, I want to thank you for your service and sacrifice to our community and nation. Please join me in a round of applause of gratitude for our veterans. And a special thank you to the following for their help by making this event possible today. Mrs. Nellie Mitchell and her art students for the banners and silhouettes. Mr. Tobin Schultz and his service learning and business management students, with a special thank you to Brooklyn Meyer, Haley Merwin, Sally Aiden, and Jaden Simon for their work in managing preparations for the assembly. Golden Corral for sponsoring our reception and hosting military appreciation tonight from 5 to 9 p.m. And finally, Southwest Missouri Bank for sponsoring our gifts and the assembly. At this time, JRTC students should dismiss to guide our guests into the indoor facility. And veterans, we dismiss you to the reception, waiting just on the east entrance. Thank you. If all students will remain in their seats until veterans have exited the gym, please.